Next, a little bit of word magic and some more religions. Worship, or is it warship? Described as a condition of being worthy, which is subservient for a start. Deemed as worthy because you follow the God who demands to be worshipped or idolized. Idol means image of a deity as an object of pagan worship. Their words, not mine. But an image is not real. It's only a copy. Source thinks you're all worthy. Fake gods think only they are. So war, W-O-R, is a reference to worthy. Then you add in the D, and it becomes the word. Add the M, and it becomes the worm. The original definition of worm was serpent, snake, dragon, reptile. Oops. Is the D or the M added to the word, the Draco and Marduk? Perhaps this line has a different meaning now or makes more sense. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Oops. Then we have the second part of that word, the reference to ship again, the vessel again, maritime law, or Mari time, to be precise. And no, Mari is not Mary Magdalene either. And neither is the Virgin Mary. Mari is another of their fake goddesses of doom and death. Did you know the picture of the Virgin Mary, or Mari, derives from French, France, and the term marionette, which means a puppet worked by strings. So the Virgin Mary is a puppet. But who was pulling the strings? Mumbo jumbo. That's something I hear too much in America, but it was used a lot in the back in the UK. And it's a term often used now as babble. In other words, lawyer speak. And yet this is actually an African deity. The name of an idol worshipped by certain tribes in Africa, and is said to be a corruption of words in Mandingo, also pronounced as Mandinko. And one reconstructed version is Mama Diumbo. There are no references to the word Diumbo, but one must ponder with the Mama, is this the African version of the Kali Ma? Ma is mother, Mama is mother, Kali means dark. Now their king or deity in these tribes in Africa was called the Mansa Musa, which is depicted in art as having less toes than us and feet looking slightly webbed. Check it out for yourself. And it is said that Musa was a devout Muslim, and his pilgrimage to Mecca made him well known across northern Africa and the Middle East. Only one problem for that is that Musa went to the Mecca in 1324 through 1325 and the term Muslim did not come into the language until 1610. Oops. Well, perhaps it meant he was Islamic. Well, that came after Muslim in 1747. Perhaps it was Muhammad. That was 1610 also. The Shiites? Nope, that was 1725. Their history is talking a lot of Shiite to me. And Mansa Musa operates under the House of Keita. There it is again, the houses and the letter K. And as a Mansa, they had the powers to dispense justice. It's the Thoth scales again. To monopolise trade, and in particular gold, which was prominent in the region of Mali. All sounds very Solomon to me. In almost eerily coincidental circumstances, the term Mansa is the name for 2 towns and a state, 2 temples and a Deva deity in India. And it's also the name of a Catholic diocese in Zambia. Connecting the dots again. Then we come to do a similar word to Mansa, and it does connect, of Mensa. So instead of M-A-N, man, it's men, M-E-N. And they are linked in African terms. But Mensa is also known as the IQ test group, which may be symbolic of wheat and chaff again, and perhaps we'll see why. Mensa is a dim southern constellation that is visible near the south celestial pole between the constellations of Hydrus and Chameleon. Hydra, Draconian, and Chameleon, both of which are reptile groups. And that particular constellation is held to be a representation of the Table Mountain in South Africa. And the Table Mountain is a South African icon, and it's the only natural site on the planet to have a constellation of stars named after it. Mensa meaning the table. So what type of table are we looking at? Well, perhaps this helps. In Roman Catholic terms, Mensa means the top of the altar. Altar means a sacrificial slab for burnt offerings, to honour by burning sacrifices to the gods. Oh my. The top or central slab upon which the Eucharistic elements are placed, it is said. So what are the Eucharistic elements? The sacrament, oh my, binding again, of Holy Communion. The sacrifice of the Mass, oops. And the Lord's Supper, oh dear. The sacrifice of the Mass and the Lord's Supper has so many connotations, none of which are pleasant on the ears or the heart. Remember, we are, or as it's the case now, we're not top of the food chain. Another word which I revoke all consent to future events being manifested by this word is abracadabra. It is spell magic that, not surprisingly, came from Hebrewic origins. Evra Kedivra, meaning I speak, therefore I create, and also has origin in what is described as a separate culture, except it's not, more illusion again, Aramaic. They use the word spell Avad Kedavra, meaning it has perished like the plague. Oh my, From Russia with Love is proven correct again. So abracadabra is a death spell. Consecrate is the next word we're going to look at. The act of separating from a common to a sacred use. Ritual dedication to God. But there is another word connected to consecrated in both German and Gothic that means consecrated and also holy. So the pi root of holy and consecrated is the word guile, Guile, which means deceit, wile, fraud, ruse, trickery, sorcery, and witchcraft. Consecrate. The act of separating from a common to a sacred, sacred, blood sack. Ritual dedication to God. And from that comes the word inauguration. Perhaps the president's sworn-in ceremony has a different meaning now, from common to sacred use, except they don't count the people as sacred. Consecrate and make holy comes up again with the term to bless, B-L-E-S-S. Old English, Bletzian, Bledsian, Northumbrian, Bloedsian, bless, to consecrate by a religious rite, which is a binding, make holy, give thanks, was a much later version. It stems from Proto-Germanic blodson, which means hallow with blood, mark with blood. From blotham, blood. Originally a blood sprinkling on pagan altars. That's the description of bless. So a blessing was a sacrifice on an altar for pagans in the church. And given it's related to blood, perhaps the word bless is a shortened version of bloodless, which is what happens after the ritual sacrifice at the altar. Consecrate and make holy comes up again from the Gothic Weihs, which means holy, W-E-I-H-S, and the German Weihen, W-E-I-H-E-N, consecrate, with the term victim, which meant originally a living creature killed and offered as a sacrifice to a deity or supernatural power, or in the performance of a religious rite, religious observance or ceremony, which is where the term ritual comes from. Writ you all. Or in legal terms, writ with a W in front, you all. Understand it now? When you add the word hood which is stated as a soft head covering, to the words victim and priest, who are the hooded robe class, and join them together. Then perhaps you will understand where all your victim and victimhood stems from. The priests. These priesthoods also operate in the courts, but known more so as judges. But essentially, they are the high priest or priestesses, and this is the reason why they wear the robes. A public representative of the priest class is there to be feared, with their shipping docks on land and throwing us, the vessels, into their docks, replete with their Freemasonic tool called the gavel. That's where that comes from. Passing judgment, just like the church. Hypnotizing, just like the church, with their spellbinding document, which means ship of the mind. Spellcasts abound, just like the church, with their gospels, pronounced go spells. In light of the word we used earlier, prescription, we have what is described as the placebo, said to be a blank-based pill that convinces the body to cure anyway, which it can, providing the person realises that all pills are bullshit anyway, once you have your own true power. A medicine given more to please than to benefit the patient, called the placebo effect. And then you find out the real meaning of placebo. The name given to the rite, here we go again, of the Vespers of the Office of the Dead. The name given to the rite of the Vespers of the Office of the Dead, which essentially means the underworld. So called from the opening of the first antiphon, I will please the Lord in the land of the living. Oh dear. Being bound by religiaire. This next phase of time will not serve you well.